Hello, friends. Happy to be with you on this third Sunday of Lent. We had a little break in between, but now we're back on track, working our way through Lent on towards the Great Triduum and Easter celebration and Easter season. But today, in this third Sunday, there are some really wonderful messages for us. In our first reading, we see the account where Moses is with the people, leading them out of slavery. They were so grateful to be freed, but then after all the years of wandering, they started to doubt and they started to wonder what was going on, much like we do as human beings when life gets dreary or difficult. And Moses was instructed by the Lord to take a rod and to tap the rock. And the miracle that took place, water gushed forth from the rock. And the thirst of the people was slaked and God intervened. But prior to that, the people were saying, is the Lord even in our midst or not? And don't we sometimes wonder that? I do. I look around the world, I see things happening. I see the horror of a powerful nation attacking another small nation, just bombing indiscriminately. And surely those people who are suffering, who see their children die, their parents die, their brothers and sisters die, are surely asking the question, is God in our midst or not? But then in our reading, our wonderful reading from Paul, we have Paul reminding us that God loved us even when we were still sinners. He died for us while we were still sinners. We didn't have to change, become perfect, prove that we were going to love. God's redemption, this great gift of redemption, was given to us freely, no conditions. It's an amazing thing when we stop and think about God's unconditional love, because our love for one another is so conditional. We just grow up that way. You be a good boy and mommy will give you a cookie. You be a good friend to me and then I'll reward you with my friendship for you. Or, all these conditions that we can sometimes put into our relationships. So when we speak of God being unconditional, that's an amazing reality, the unconditional love of God. While we were still sinners, Jesus died on the cross for us. And he poured himself out totally, held nothing back, absolute unconditional offering. And so Paul reminds us, because of that great reality, hope does not disappoint. I think the connection between the first and the second reading is really important. We can see terrible things happening around us, but we have to hope. We keep hoping and trusting that the Lord is there. He is with us. He continues to love us unconditionally, no matter how life unfolds. Hope does not disappoint. And then finally, in our gospel, the amazing encounter of Jesus with the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman. And the scriptures make a point of saying that she came out to the well at the noon hour, the hottest time of the day. Why did she come at noon rather than with all the other women from the village when it was cool early in the morning? Why did she have to wait? She was clearly cast off. She was shunned by people. Why? Probably because of her past. She'd been married frequently. Who knows what kind of life she was living or why she was forced to live that life. Because probably her husband that she did love had died, leaving her penniless. And who can she turn to but her own wits? And yet she would be shunned by people. So she would come out to the well at noon, the Samaritan woman, who was misunderstood, who was shunned, who was an outcast, who had a very shady life. And who does the Lord choose to reveal himself to? Who does he call to announce his presence as Savior to the people who are Samaritans, who are not accepted universally by the Jews? He chooses this woman, not a bright, intelligent, shining star in the community, but this woman who was broken, who was weak, who was thirsty for a deeper thirst than what she could get at the well. And he revealed himself to her. Jesus did that all the time. He reached outside of the perimeters. He reached to the people who were possessed. He reached to the people who were herders herding pigs. He reached out to the woman who was unclean according to the law because she had menstrual bleeding that would not be healed. He reached out to these people. He reached out to the blind. He reached out to the lepers. God's love does not disappoint. Jesus will not disappoint us. And he invites us to do the same thing. Reach out to the broken. Reach out to the brokenhearted. I'll tell you, we have students here today from one of the high schools, and they're wonderful kids. I love these young guys. They're seniors. They're on the brink of a big change in their life. The Kairos retreat gives them a chance to affirm their faith. And I just watch them as they arrive and how they prepare to leave. And I always notice a couple of the guys, they're alone. They sit alone. They don't really fit in. Maybe they haven't been invited in. Maybe they're different in some way. Maybe their self-confidence is rather poor. Who knows? And yet there they are sitting on the outside. And I would deliberately go and sit down and start talking to them to find out who they are, to see if there isn't a way to bring them into the group a little bit. And then I pray for them at Mass in an anonymous way when everybody is there, reminding all the students, do what Jesus did. Reach out to the people that are isolated, that are alone. They might be sitting there wondering in their own heads, where is God in all this? Where is God in my life right now? So our readings are very beautiful. They invite us more deeply into the mystery of Lent. They draw us more closely to the absolute self-giving and unconditional love of Jesus on Calvary. And they invite us in little ways to do the same thing day by day. So God bless you all. Listen to these readings, ponder them carefully, and thinking about what the Lord is inviting you to do in your own life. God bless you all, and thank you so much for paying attention to this simple message.